Hey guys, Anthony, Full Before Diesel. Just a bit of service information for you. Obviously this is not a diesel. This is a 2016 Toyota Camry. It's due for a 45,000k service. Just want to tell you a little story actually. For the sake of the $140, we've been letting one of our Toyota dealers we trust enough to do oil changes, and that's basically the majority of the work they've done. So for $140, I said, you know what? We'll just let them do it, you know what I mean? And they've done, obviously, the 15, I think. There's every 15 on these, so 15, 30 is due for 45, you know. We do the oil in between, obviously, because I think 15,000 k's is too long for oil. But for some reason, because it's a couple of months over by time, the car's not even 3 years old, I'll say, the 45,000k service isn't available on the system. So they wanted to do the 60,000, which would leave things like the air filter not changed. I'll give you a comparison. So there's the old one and the new one, right? That's what's due at 45,000 k's. And a message for Toyota Motor Corporation Australia: the air filter gets dirty by kilometres, not time. So there shouldn't be an expiry time on a service, you know, within reason. Like I said, the car's not even 3 years old. We do it by kilometres. The things that matters by time, this is information for everyone. So the things that matter by time, at this sort of period of time while the vehicle's under warranty in the first 3 to 5 years, basically oils, in particular engine oil, okay? Brake fluid also. So brake fluid, I think on the service schedule, haven't got in front of me. I don't service these cars regularly, so I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the brake fluid is due every 30,000 k's, which it's more, brake fluid's more of a time thing. That's something where kilometres doesn't make the difference, time does. But I'd suggest every 30 or 40,000 is usually about right with time. So here we are, the 30,000k service has brake fluid every 30,000. The brake fluid should possibly be every 2 years regardless of kilometres. So every 2 years is, you know, the correct recommendation. The point I want to make is a few months out by time, it's not even on the system. So here we are, we're doing the 45,000k service to make sure it gets done correctly. And the 60,000k service items that are due will get done at 60,000 k's, right? So that, I think, from memory, again, just going from memory, I think that's the brake fluid again. I mean, over and above the oil and filter. And of course, you know, we're only going to use genuine parts. And here it is, okay, you know, for your warranty, genuine motor oil and genuine oil filter and sump plug washer, okay? Genuine from Toyota dealer. And they're pretty cheap. What I want to say is the air filter for this vehicle, under 20, I think it's about 20 bucks, thereabouts. The full drives are like $50 to $60. I really can't see the difference. There's a little bit more involved in it, but 3 times the price. Anyway guys, we're going to run through a few of the things we're doing on this 45,000k service. So let's get started. So the amount of dust around this engine bay, you think it's full drive and it runs up and down dirt roads or something, but it doesn't. It's just sealed roads. So quite a lot of dust. We do give engine bays a clean down once with each service, about once a year. Allows you to be able to see if you've got any issues, any leaks and stuff, because otherwise the dust just kind of soaks it all up. It gets a bit messy. So just changing the air filter. I had a look in on the clean side, so underneath up there, and you may or may not be surprised, but there is dust. You know, it's not really bad, but there is dust up there. So, you know, you can blame the airbox or whatever you like. These filters, they seal different to the other ones. They, you know, basically, I don't know how to explain it to you, but this ridge here, right, is what seals in over the plastic. So we're not going to put grease on these ones because it's an on-road vehicle, because, you know, on the four-wheel drives we put grease on the rubber seal. So just make sure it's sitting in position, and that rim, and obviously, you know, that's which way it goes down because that's only on one side. You can see that there, it's not on this side. So that faces downwards. Probably, let me get it around the sharp corner, I believe, goes to the back, like so. Right, so just make it should sit in perfectly in place like that, and that's going to clamp down there. That'll seal, okay? So obviously you just hook, there's two to release and re-secure. There's 2 clips at this side, but it hooks in over the other side. I'm sure you can figure out that it's pretty basic. The other thing we've done is, obviously we're going to do an oil change on it. So the first thing we do is pull the dipstick and take the cap off to refill the oil, so you don't forget you've drained the oil and you need to refill it. So we're going to put it up in the air and drop the oil out. Okay, so now we've got it up in the air. This is going to be the typical inspection on most motor vehicles built in the last decade that are of decent quality, okay? Now, obviously for safety, one of the first things you need to look at is your tyres and how worn they are. You can see those wear indicator tabs in the middle there. I'll suggest if they're down to there, they're well and truly worn out. These tyres have done about 45,000 Ks, and I'm suggesting they've got about probably 3 mil left. They're very close to due for replacement. It's just not worth it, right? The tyres are nearly 3 years old. It's a matter of safety. They might be roadworthy, but it's time to replace them. Now, let's have a look at the brakes. Generally, you can see the brake pad lining, how much is left without removing the wheels from the inside, and without looking too hard. You may not see in the camera, but there's a heap of meat left there. So you can also look in between the caliper. There's some other ways. I mean, as long as you can see the pads is all that matters. So obviously we're going to check both sides there. So tyres and brakes are probably a couple of your top safety items. You can look at your struts as well, make sure you've got no leaks. We'll give those a bit of a bounce test later as well. Make sure there's all no leaks, deterioration, checking those CV boots, which they're going to be fine, quality Toyota. Right, so all the boots and everything will be okay. Obviously, unless you've hit a stick damaged or something like that. But let's just have a quick look at everything. Okay, bone dry, no oil leaks. That's what we're looking for. Any leaks, deterioration, anything that's falling apart or anything that's not like it should be. Now, going down the vehicle on a front wheel drive like this, as I mentioned, it's a 2016 Camry. There's not a lot to see, right? All you've got is an exhaust system. There's no driveline or anything. Really simple. Not much to check. Then you get to the back here. Again, not much here. It's just trailing along. There's nothing driving. Obviously, you've got shockers as well to keep the wheels in contact, the tyres in contact with the ground. These tyres look to be in a little bit better condition than the fronts. So if we wanted to get a bit more out of them, we'd rotate these front to rear. Otherwise, it's just get a new set of tyres. Now, you probably want to put your best tyres on the front normally, because that seems like what's doing the steering and braking and all that. But they say put your best tyres on the back. So, you know, experts say. So look, whichever way you want to do it. But look, these tyres have probably got a little bit more left of them for summer. Let's say we're coming up to summer, not as much wet roads or whatever. So we might run these ones through till say March or something next year. It's currently, what is it, October. So we're going to give them another 6 months and see what they look like then. By then it'll be due for at least another oil change. It might be the intermediate oil change. Same deal as the front, having a look at the brake pads, see how much meat's left. They've got a wear indicator there anyway. You may not be able to see what I can see. It is hard to show you, but I'm looking at the meat there. How much, and you can also look again, the distance between the two tabs on the brake pad, but that's only going to give you an indication as how much is left altogether. It's not going to, on older vehicles, you could have a problem with the caliper and one pad's wearing more than the other. Some cars just do that, so you need to be aware of that. Lots of variables, right? So you need to be careful when it comes to brakes. It is a matter of life and death if that vehicle can't stop. In this case, the brakes are fairly like new still because the vehicle does get driven reasonably. Quality exhaust system. It's not like in the old days where everything was all rusted out and falling apart. Sorry for the manufacturers not making money selling exhaust, but thank you for building quality cars so that we don't have to replace them. Better for the environment. We don't want to be replacing crap all the time. Quality vehicle. Not much to see on this one at 45,000 Ks. Now this is how you're going to drop the oil out. Pretty straightforward. There's a 14mm sump plug, right? And you can see the washers in behind it, the one we're going to maybe replace depending on the condition of it. And your oil filter will be right there. It's a cartridge type filter, so it's not your spin-on. You can take that centerpiece out and drain it and then take the black plastic part off afterwards. Generally you'll need a special tool for it or something that does adapt and work so you don't break it. Sometimes if someone's over tightened that centerpiece, when you go to undo it, the whole thing comes undone anyway. You can fiddle around or you can just drop the lot. That's what I do, or used to do, because you know what, I don't do this anymore. I show you guys how to do it, and you can gather all your information from me and anywhere else you like and go ahead and save yourself some money, get it done properly, and get it done right the first time. So that's underneath the Camry, nothing to see here kind of thing. It's going to be an oil change, a filter change. We might show you that in time lapse. Tyres and brakes, well, brakes are okay. Suspension all looked okay. There's nothing to see here. Watch it going over those speed humps, guys, because you know how they build the cars a bit low at the front. That's why four-wheel drives are good. Stick with the Prados, they're awesome, right? Go anywhere, you're not going to have this sort of thing. Not that it matters, but just trying to show you. This is pretty good actually for 45,000 Ks. Most people's vehicles, look, it's even scratched along the front bash plate a little bit. So this is pretty good, but most people's vehicles are going to be even worse than that at about 45k. This is pretty good, no damage. We haven't hit the exhaust and that on speed humps and other items like that. So it looks like we can drive. All right, hope this has helped. I'll keep on with it. Okay, so we've got our drain play. We're going to have a play around, changing oil. We've got our drain tray in place and our dodgy, cheap, hand-me-down 14mm that's right near the bench for the oil changes. Ready to, obviously we just crack that sump plug with. I'll just bring the drain trap a little bit higher. Just be careful of hot oil as well. This vehicle's just been driven at highway speeds. It can come out really hot, splash go everywhere. When you got some skills, you can actually get it out like that without getting a drip of oil on your finger whatsoever. And that's what you want. Petrol engine, kind of a bit nicer to change oil on than diesels. Diesels are nice and black, as you know. So that's that. We're going to watch that oil drain for a minute and I'll just time lapse it and we'll get on with getting that oil filter drain bolt out of the hole. The hole out of the centre, you know, whatever. Okay, so that oil's draining. And while that's happening, we'll see about getting messy over here. We've cracked this centre part loose. So far so good. Let's see about getting messy here. I'll just move that drain tray a little bit closer. You probably can't see that, can you? No, I've got a drain tray there. This is the part where you might want to put your gloves on before you do this, but see how you go. See, not too bad, there you go. Not too bad. I'll just show you, that's just using a 3/8 drive extension, right? Any O-rings and seals you usually need to replace will come with the kit with the oil filter. So what we'll do right now, we'll get that oil filter out of the box and have a look and show you the parts that come with it. Okay. So you've got the cartridge itself. And a couple O-rings. And a little plastic Duvalaki. Show you the Duvalaki. You've seen one of them before, Duvalaki. Anyway, now we'll crack the next part loose. And this is where things can go pear-shaped, right? I just want to say, I thought I'd crack this loose first, you know. This plastic section here is meant to be tightened only to 25 Newton meters, right? 25, it's not real tight, okay? Now, we've got our universal tool. I'm not going to go out and buy the correct tool to do one vehicle because we don't generally service these. Now, I can get that on there no problem in a secure position. And it has already been, I'm putting everything I've got on it to get that undone. And it is ridiculous. So I'm not gonna, I need to get the tripod out of the way so I can get in there, position the legs, you know, apart, you know, get the stance right and get this thing undone without damaging it, because it is just plastic. It's been way over tightened. Thank you very much, Toyota dealer. So we'll get it off and come back to you once it's off, but it is super tight. You're probably best to have the correct tool for it. We've got a universal snap-on tool that does everything in the last 25 years. It's turning, so there's not an issue, but it is super tight. It's turned around about a quarter to half a turn so far, and I've still got to give everything I've got to turn it and get it undone. So hopefully they haven't over time. They've probably pulled the plastic thread a little bit, and so it's going to be tight all the way out. It's going to be one of those ones, butchers, you know. Unbelievable. Mate, this thing, oh look, these can be like this a little bit sometimes. Maybe if you don't lube the O-ring. Make sure you lube the O-rings. Look, here's the moly coat. It's always the good stuff. I've literally been working on this for about 10 minutes. I've got a full length 1/2 inch breaker bar to get the amount of leverage I need on it, right, to be able to turn it. And it's now turning a bit easier, right, so it's about to come off. Right, so we've just got it. Very sore arms. This was, yeah, like I said, they do get a bit like that. I think it's when people don't put lube, really. It's come down about, that's quite a few turns. There's a good gap, probably 6 mil or something like that. So we're going to bring the drain tray up a bit closer. Right, and pop that off. Might get a bit messy, we'll see. You just never know. You just never know your luck, right? So there's a drain hole on the bottom, but like I said, did that look like it drained anything? No, it didn't, did it? So, got a handful of oil. That's what your gloves are for. Try not to get, you know, there's no need to be messy and get covered in oil unnecessarily. So, try and show you what's in there to change this cartridge filter over. Okay, so this is pretty simple stuff. Plenty of people have done this before, but a lot of people haven't. They look at these type of oil filters, you know, and they're not too sure what to do. So just covering the basics. So once you got it off, look, give this a good clean up, all right? So give that a good clean up. This is your new O-ring and your new filter. Basically, the old filter, I'll turn it up the right way actually, here we go. I'll pretend like the filter's still in there, there it is, right? So there's the filter, we don't need to pretend, there it is, right? It just comes out, slides out, and this is the same on, you know, a lot of cars, you know, I'm not even going to go Mazdas, whatever, right? Basically, ideally give it a good clean up. This O-ring came off the bottom where that cap is, right? Right, so change that O-ring, that's your new one there, and the big one obviously, that outside one there, so you just grab that, right, and pull that out. It fits in and out really easy, so pretty straightforward. Just give it a quick clean. It's just engine and engine oil, not a big deal. It's not a fuel system. But look, give it a clean, make sure there's no debris, anything in the way. Get rid of your O-rings. Like, you know me, I lock the molly coat on the O-ring. Then it's there when we want to undo it. What happened with this one is, it basically, look, they over tightened it to start off with, so I don't know if that's possibly damaged the threads here. Maybe not, right? We'll see. By putting it on into the right torque setting and using the lubricant, next time we do this car, we'll know, okay, you know, whether it was the person that caused the problem or it's just how they are. Like I said, I don't specialise in Camry, so I don't know what they're normally like. Welcome comments below. If you work at a Toyota dealer, you can tell us, you know, whatever, but also tell us, you know, putting the engine oil on, it kind of dries up. I don't think it really works. You need to put something on, you know, your Vaseline or whatever, a bit of grease. In our case, we're using the molly coat. So feel free in the comments to let us know what they're normally like, and also if anyone wants to drop a link to a cheap eBay tool that fits directly on the bottom of that to make it easy for people. 2016 Camry, I'm sure a lot of the other Toyotas are the same. There's a few different tools on different cars and whatever. Maybe the Snap-on truck's got a universal one. Any helpful information is welcomed. So we're going to go and change these two O-rings, put the clean filter and screw it up. It's 25 Newton meters, okay? So that's all we're going to do. It's basically that plastic edge there, right? It's just got to make contact with the alloy. Let's go over to the car. Right, so that's where it screws into. It's just got to make contact with that outer edge right there, right? It doesn't have to be tight to seal it. The O-ring's what seal it. The O-ring is on this surface in here, right? So as long as that's clean, it's just oil. So look, give it a wipe, and basically, you know, it's going to seal. It's not a technical item really, pretty straightforward. The really hard part was, I've got to tell you, I really struggled. I had a 1/2-inch breaker bar to get the leverage to be able to turn the thing, and it just turned, constantly turned and turned and turned for the whole approximately 1/4 inch way out till this O-ring cleared the housing, you know, which with lubricant, that shouldn't be that tight that it holds it like that, but maybe it's what happens with these. All right guys, bit of helpful information. Always when it's difficult, we have an issue, that's what helps, because that's what could happen to you, and that's kind of what we want to happen. All right, thanks for watching so far. Let's get it back together. Okay, so some plugs back in and that's all cleaned up. We're just going to give this a bit of a quick spray. And look, the oil filter thing, what we want to do is give it a spray with some brake cleaner, wipe it off, let it dry, and then we're going to just make sure the plastic's made contact with the alloy, which it would have because we've done our 25 Newton meters. And yeah, we just want to clean it up. See that drip of oil even just here on the tray? We don't even want anything like that. It's all going to be clean. Then we're going to drop it down and put oil into it. Alright, so you can see what we've done in the video. We rotated the tyres also. We've refitted all the air filter, all the boxes clean, inside and out sealed, clipped on properly. We're going to still clean the map sensor, like the diesels, unplug that, screws out. Toyota's procedure is to blow compressed air over it in bursts, like psh, psh, psh. We're going to use CRC MAF air sensor cleaner and then blow it. Okay, we're going to put oil in. Now you're going to sort of, next question, how much oil? Well, I'm going to say about 5 litres. Now, don't worry too much about what books say, and when you Google it, there's different engines, there's different ways to measure how much oil, and different amounts come out depending on the level, the viscosity, whatever, right, and how long you drain it. So what I'm going to say is put in about 4.5 litres, and then check the level and top it up from there, okay? So there's your dipstick. So we're going to put oil in, we're going to put the cap on, we're going to put the dipstick in, we're going to give the engine bay a wash down. The other few things we're going to do, general checks part of service, working our way around from this side, check your brake fluid level over there, top up the washer bottle, check your drive belts and hose, everything will be fine. It's not even 3 years old, it's a Toyota, it'll be fine. At 200,000 it'll be fine, right? When you finish, check your oil level. You know, water pumps and stuff leak on all engines generally, eventually. Just check your coolant level, you can see on the tank there. No need to take this cap off, just check that tank. You can give it a bit of a squeeze if you like, whatever. Battery, you can check your electrolyte level if you like. I don't like topping up batteries too much unless they are quite low. If they're close enough, leave it alone. If one's down more than the other, then you've got different mixes diluted in one to the other, and it's not as good as just leaving it alone if it's close enough. So those caps pop off, you can have a look at those. You don't fill them up to the top, okay? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Over here at the battery, come over here. Right, battery, here. Do not fill those up to the top. If you look in the hole, there's a piece of plastic that goes down inside here, right? It goes down. It needs to be up to the bottom of the plastic if you decide you're going to top it up, right? To the bottom of the plastic. Okay, nice and evenly. If you can, just a little bit in each one, top it up evenly. Make sure your terminals are tight, give them a good yank. Make sure your battery security is tight, it's not going anywhere. We've done the air filter. You know, we worked around the engine bay, that's about it on this car, more or less. If you want full detail and want to be better than that, then you need to take it to a top quality workshop. But if you're doing it yourself, I hope those tips helped you out a little bit. We're going to put oil into it. So I'm showing you the cautious way for, you know, when you, lots of different vehicles, pretty simple, straightforward front wheel drives like this, you know, fairly new, reliable, not a lot to see. The best way to work out how much oil it needs is to not put too much in the first place. So I've actually done different to what I said, and I put just over 4 litres of oil in, okay? It was reading high on the dipstick, but of course you got to fill up the oil filter area. So, but that's fine. It's enough to run the engine, no problem at all, 4 litres, whatever. Touch over 4. Now, so that's, we've done that. That's would have filled up the oil filter area. Now all the oil's got to drain back down again. Every engine's got a different specification for checking the oil level correctly, but I'd suggest with the engine all warm, switch it off and check it after 5 minutes is a good general guide for most vehicles. It hasn't been 5 minutes, but we're going to pull the dipstick anyway and have a look and see what's going on. So first thing you do, obviously, it's pretty easy stuff, checking oil, but this is for your kids as well, right? Sometimes they just never learn the basics at school anymore. So, see on the dipstick there, you can see it's halfway. That's the low, see the dot there? I'm going to wipe it off now, you can see where it's at. That's the full line, that's the low line, right? So ideally, I think they probably, if the specification amount of oil they'll give you is probably somewhere in the middle here, and that's why you probably sometimes find you put a little bit more because you want it more towards, I want mine right near the full line. Hey, you know, I don't mind if it's a little bit over. So definitely it was about halfway in between. So what we're going to do now is slowly top it up and check it and allow for it to drain before we check it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Are you going to get bored? And I'll eventually let you know exactly how much oil this engine took. Okay, so we've topped it up. So I've thrown another twice we put oil in, I'd say. Probably 4.5, 4.6 litres, as suspected in the first place. But like I said, best to put less in case you got your engines mixed up and it's different. And let's just have a look at the final reading at the moment. Right, if you can see that. Probably Let's run it. I didn't hold it level, so you got to hold the dipstick level. It's pretty well on the dot anyway. Doesn't matter if it's a little bit under or a little bit over. I shouldn't tell you that, but look, in my opinion anyway, I'm going to hold it flat level, and you can see where we are. Right, it's near the top dot. Anyway, simple stuff. It's right near that top dot there. Happy days, as we say, happy days. That's the motto for the month. Happy days, probably even longer, maybe the year. Coolant level looks okay. We're only going to top that up with genuine coolant. That way we're all using the same coolant. We know what it is. It's cheap at last stages. There's no need to cut corners on that. Obviously a few other checks, you know, we've got to fill out the books, the sticker, and you know, other things, you know, the standard checks on services. Check your windscreen wipers are clearing the screen, your washer jets and your lights and your fan and your heater and your aircon. Check everything, but you know your car, you know if it's working or not. So the checks under the bonnet and under the car, most of them we've covered in this video. I hope that helps. Share the video to your kids on an SMS to their mobile phone or whatever, and say, look, this is how you check your oil. So you don't have to, they should probably watch the whole thing. They can learn what they could be paying hundreds of dollars for, which is okay if you've got a good workshop to go to, and there's plenty of those. But there's plenty of places that, look, some people just need to save money as well, okay? So you can save money by doing some, if you've got an older car, simple oil change, that sort of thing. Even if you're taking in for a service, you might want to do oil changes in between, or you might do the oil change yourself and take it in and say, look, I just want you to check over the car. You don't need to change your oil or filter, I've just done that, okay? So, not sure how they'll react to that. If they don't like it, go somewhere else. All right, guys, I think that pretty well covers it. So if that's the case, thanks for watching. If it's been helpful, give us a thumbs up. Happy to see any helpful comments, you know, in the comments below. Information, links to a, I don't know, oil filter, aftermarket oil filter part numbers for people to check, save even more money. In our case, we use a genuine Toyota filter, mainly because the vehicle's still under warranty. We just want to save any arguments. Should there be any issues, but I'm sure there won't be. Hit subscribe. Thanks, guys. See ya. Okay, so we've filled up the oil, topped that to the right level, given the engine bay a quick clean down so it looks like it should, nice and neat and tidy. Made sure the car was just as clean or cleaner than it was when it arrived. Bit of a road test. Obviously torqued up the wheel nuts because we're not going to rely on the rotor gun or over tighten them, so you just nip it up with that and then do it with a torque wrench is the best way. And so everything's all good. We need to check the oil level finally, and like always, you know, because the oil's hotter now because we've driven it, it's at full temp, it's going to run down quicker, which means it drains back to the engine quicker. It's quite hot. Okay, so it's going to be probably a little bit over. Yep, it is. It's over that dot there. But the main thing is we checked it, and inspect the vehicle engine bay and underneath for oil leaks in case you did make a mistake. And just do a head check. What's a head check? Well, think in your head. Did I tighten up that sump plug? But don't over tighten it either. All right, guys, I think that's it.